So we have created these two tables earlier. So department ID, department name and candidate. So now we will create a procedure to insert record in department table. Correct? We will write create procedure. Either you write create procedure or you can write create proc. That will also work. Create procedure, procedure name. So whatever name you want. Let me check if it is already existing. Let me delete this one. So here I will write insert department. Correct. If I simply write insert and if it is having some blue color, you understand it is some keyword. First we will give department name at the rate. What column we need to give? Department name. We can give department name and varchar whatever the length you have given. And varchar, right? So length is 255. And right now this will begin and end. So simply we will check if department name is already existing. If we simply write the query insert into table name, so whatever the table name is, you can just write insert into table at a department and you give department name values at the rate department name, that means this parameter, right? So we are creating create procedure, procedure name, just one parameter, and the procedure has begin and end. So only one parameter is required, so here only one parameter is declared. This parameter can be XYZ, it can be of any name, but most of the time it is recommended to keep the same name to avoid the confusion, right? So here, if you run it, whatever, so I forgot to, yeah, this procedure is created. Now you can execute this procedure and whatever department you want to enter, let's say IT. This one is created. You can check if you give sales and you check one row affected. Yes. But if I again give sales, so it is making some duplicate values. So I want to prevent this duplicate insertion in my stored procedure. So I will use an operator if exists and I will check select department name from this table where department name equals at the rate department name. and if exist, then it will give us some message begin and end. It will give some message. So I want to return one counter variable. That means this is already existing. Correct? Otherwise, we will start the else block, else begin and end. Correct? This one. And after insertion, I am returning select 2 as MSG. That means if counter value is 2, that I will understand that value is inserted successfully. Now I want to alter the procedure. So I will write alter. Here you see how many records are there in table. So in the table you can see there are 3 rows as of now. If I try to insert sales again, it is giving MSG1. That means it is a flag that is saying this is already existing. Here you see carefully select department name. So you can return any value. That doesn't matter because you are just checking if exist or not. It will give you value. If any value comes as a result for this query, that means it will be true for this. Then this if section will be executed. Otherwise, this else section will be executed. Correct? So now if I truncate the table, department, truncate table, department. So this. Now I make random 3 entries. IT, sales, marketing, and you see there are 3 records and no duplicate record is inserted. It's working fine, but there is one requirement. I have truncated the entire department table. So now the question comes, what is the difference between truncate and delete command, right? What is the difference between truncate and delete command? So if you truncate the table, all the record will be cleaned up from the table. All the identities will start from its initial position. But if we delete like 3 and this department ID 3 is auto-generated and it is deleted, then if we insert new department, that ID will be 4. Correct? So this is one difference. And in the deletion, what happens? That is stored in the log file as well. Whatever record we are deleting, it can store in the log file also, right? So this is all about the insert procedure. Similarly, I need to create another procedure to update the department, to update the departments. So I want to create a new procedure to update the department. So here I will write create procedure update department or edit department, you can say edit department. So while updating, if you want to update this department IT, to some other department. How many parameters will need to be passed? So we will pass department name and ID because our simple update query is something like this. Suppose we are writing simple update query, update, and the table name is department. Set how many columns we are going to update. Suppose I write department name, then department name is something like engineering. And if I write this query and run it accidentally, what will happen? Update department set department name equal to engineering. That means all the column will become all the this for this entire column, all the values in this cell will become as engineering. But if we need to change this one, IT, so we will have to give some condition with this. So we will write where department ID equals 1. In this way, it will update the record for this condition only. Where department ID is 1, it will update the department name as engineering. If I want to change this sales to production, right? And if I give department ID equals 2, that will be updated. So you are seeing two parameters are being passed. First parameter is department name and second parameter is department ID. So similarly, we will be passing these two parameters in this stored procedure. So we will pass first department ID. It should match the database whatever it is mentioned in your table int and department name and its data type as well. Varchar, that is n varchar, correct, and the length, that is okay, age, begin and end. So this is going to create the update procedure. Now if I write this query over here, update department set department name equal to whatever department name we are passing, that is at the rate department name, and department ID equal to at the rate department ID. That means whatever department ID we are passing, we can check, correct? So this is the simple procedure that we have created. And after updation, I want to return some message as 2. So if I simply write select 2, that will have what will happen? It will have no column. So no column. That's why I am giving alias for this. Select 2 MSG. And here I am creating this stored procedure. This one is created. Now if I want to test this stored procedure, so simply we can test this stored procedure from here as well. And first parameter that is required, C. Suppose I want to update the department engineering and instead of engineering I want to keep it IT. So I will give the department name as IT and then what other parameter I need to pass with this, that is first parameter is department ID. So this one is department ID. So the sequence will matter. First parameter will match to first parameter, second to second. That is very important. So if I update, you see it is returning after updation, it is returning message 2. That means it is updated in the table. And if we verify, we see this is updated. Correct. But one thing is missing. When this was updated, that means we should also update the date. It depends. Suppose you will have some other column updated date, something, you can keep it. But as of now, I am just updating over here. But in the real-time application, you can put, you can keep another column like updated date, right? So suppose it is required, I can just write updated date, updated date. If it is required, I'm just supposing that I need to keep this one. Okay. So one column is added over here and this. So once we update, so it is helpful to understand when this was created and when this was last updated. So we can give updated date as well. We can give updated date. So we have a column updated date we can keep, and we just want get date. When we are just updating, we are putting get date. If you need UTC date, then you will have to take the data type as UTC date and you will write get UTC date. Now, if you alter this and check what is happening, this is done. And if I update this one, it is updated and you see the updated date is here. But suppose I want to update this production. I want production to sales. So I am just keeping sales over here. And what is the ID? That is 2. So if I give 2, that will be updated. That will be updated. But suppose if I give IT again, so, and you want to prevent, because this will again cause duplicacy. Because we have not enforced it as unique constraint, but we are required to handle in the stored procedure. That's why how we are going to handle this. So that means before updation, we need to check if that particular department is already existing, it should not update. So what we will write? We will write if exist, and again we will check select department name from department where where department name equal to at the rate department name and department ID equal to department ID. So in this way, we are able to check if this condition is matching. That means if it is finding this department name and based on this department ID. That means for this department ID, if the department name already exists, then it should not update. Give us some appropriate message. It is already existing. So we will write begin and give some counter message select one as MSG, and if it is not like this, then we can proceed in the else section. So we will write begin, and after that we can put and right. So this is one way of handling this, correct? Now I want to alter this one, so I will alter this procedure, that is altered. And if we are trying to give IT again, this is giving message 1. So if I give some other department name like HR, and this has updated, you can see. So you need to understand the requirement and then work accordingly. Correct? This is about the edit department procedure. Now we will create another procedure, that is select procedure. So we are going to create another procedure to select all the department. Create procedure, procedure name, get departments, get departments, and here you can write as, begin, and end. You can just put over here, and you just write the select query. Select asterisk from this table. So this stored procedure is created, and if you execute this, just select and run. It will execute automatically because it is not asking for any parameter. So we have this one. But sometime back, if we are required get department based on ID, get department based on ID. So we will have to write another procedure, get department by ID, right? So we need to pass this stored procedure, department ID, that is INT, and we will put the where condition, where department ID equal to whatever department ID we are passing, we can just put over here. And it will create the procedure. And if I just execute this procedure, and if I give something this 1, then it will return for 1. If I give 2, it is returning 2. Sometimes you accidentally give some ID and that is not existing, so it is not returning any result. So you can handle inside this. If this is not existing, you can return message. But as of now, I am leaving this one. So there there will be some situation when you are just giving the department ID like 2. Sometimes we are giving the department ID, but sometimes we are passing some null value. That means we are not passing any department ID. Then it should return all the departments. So for this we are going to use is null function over here. So this is null. And if I write the first brace, you see expression. Expression means whatever parameter you are passing and the replacement value. That means whatever expression you are passing. If you are giving department ID, then it will take the department ID. Otherwise, this will take it as null. And we also need to initialize this value as null. Now see the impact. I have just updated. I am not passing any department ID. But then in this situation, what it is doing, it is taking department ID equal to department ID. That means it will return for all the department IDs. Correct? But if I'm especially passing any department ID, this will return the result. So sometimes you will be required to write these kind of procedures. Suppose you are selecting the drop down list and selecting the particular department, then for that department you are extracting the value. But suppose you have another option in that all values. Then in that situation you are selecting all values and you are not passing any of the department. Because this procedure will work for selecting all values. But my requirement is sometime I give the department ID, sometime I don't give the department ID. So here I am only selecting this stored procedure because it is already defined as null. So if I am not passing any department ID, it will take it as null value, and instead of this parameter will work because it is saying expression replacement value. So if it is null, it will be replaced by this. Correct? So sometimes these stored procedure will be required. So as of now, you have created insert department stored procedure. This is one stored procedure, right? And edit department stored procedure. So this is one stored procedure, and you have created some select stored procedure, this one, and this stored procedure. Suppose I have closed all these. Now all these are closed. You have only list of stored procedure, and you want to see how many stored procedure are there in my database. So there are different ways. You can just come over here, programmability. In this stored procedure section, you can see these stored procedure are there. And if you sometime required, you can right click on modify. This will open the stored procedure, whatever changes you want to make, and you will just run it. It will alter. Sometimes you need to, suppose you have 100 stored procedure, that will be very long list. So how will you find your stored procedure? You just copy the stored procedure name, all right, and you see there is a filter option. You see filter setting. In the filter setting, you see the value, and if I search, so it has searched the particular stored procedure that I am required, right? And in the same way, you can remove the filter setting, right? Similarly, if you want to open the stored procedure, so you have one command sp underscore help text. Sp underscore help text, and if you know the name of the stored procedure, just run like this. So it will open your stored procedure and you can just start working on this. But be careful while making any changes in the stored procedure, you should take the backup of the older one. Because if something happens, you need to restore the older stored procedure. So it is always recommended before making any changes in the existing stored procedure, always take the backup. So in this way, you can find any stored procedure. Suppose I want to open the Definition of this stored procedure sp underscore help text. I just can see, right? This is one of the important thing that I was trying to tell you. Suppose you have this department table and you want to see some details for this. So how will you do this? You will select the table name and just press Alt F1. Alt F1. Okay. So by pressing the Alt F1, first you need to select this table and then on your keyboard press Alt F1. So this will open information regarding this department table. It is showing department table when it was created, what are the columns, what is the data type, what is the length, correct? So many details are there. SQL Latin General, so this is the collation you can change if you need for case sensitive, capital and small cases, all that. It is giving identity, which is the identity column. Is there any row ID? No row ID is there, correct? Primary key, all that information regarding this table you can find. So remember this, sometimes it will be helpful for you. So that is very important thing. So you have created insert, edit, get department. Now I want to create another procedure to delete the record. I want to create another procedure to delete the record. So here I am going to create another procedure, create procedure delete department, delete department, correct? And here, if I just write a simple query, delete from table name, right? What will happen if I accidentally run this? If I accidentally run this delete from department, it will delete all the rows from your table. So need to be very careful while deleting. Sometimes we permanently delete the record from our table. Sometimes we logically delete the table. You might have heard the word hard delete and soft delete. So here I will demonstrate both of these. So here I am creating one procedure, create procedure delete department, and now I'm writing as begin and end. So as I told you, if we accidentally run this query, delete from department, what will happen? It will delete all the rows that are in this table, that are in the department table. It will delete all. So if I am required to delete this particular department, so what need to be passed? The best way to pass the unique ID. The best way to pass the unique ID. So here I am passing one parameter as department ID, int, right? And here I am writing just query delete from department where department ID equals @department ID. And now our procedure is ready. And if I run this, you see this procedure is already created here. Delete department. Correct? So this stored procedure, what it will do? If I run this stored procedure, this will take the department ID. So if, let me check how many departments are there. Three, IT, HR, and marketing. If I want to delete the record for this department ID 1, that means the detail for the department IT will be deleted. So if I give department ID as 1, this is going to delete. And if we check it again, it has deleted. So it is permanently deleted. You cannot recover it until unless you are not going to your logs. So there are different ways to handle the situation. Sometimes people keep the audit file, sometimes people do the soft delete, sometimes they use some trigger if some record is deleted that should be kept as a backup in other table somewhere. So that is the convention, that is the based on requirement. But my requirement is to delete the record permanently over here. And if you want to understand the soft delete, we will have to add one field over here, some counter value, and we will consider if that column value is something like we are understanding if it is 0, it is not deleted. If it is 1, if it is deleted some, sometimes. So I will be demonstrating you later. And you can also keep the deleted date, who has deleted the record, you can keep the information, but for all that things you will have to add more columns. So the delete procedure is created. So this one is also ready. Now we will go into the code that we were writing into C sharp, and here instead of writing the plain query we will be pass store procedure. Correct? So I'm just opening the project that we had. Now we have opened the application, and instead of writing the plain query, we are going to put our store procedure, right? So we will be changing the code one by one for insert, update, and delete all that. So let us focus on insert procedure. Where is the insert procedure? Now I will check what definition is given in the stored procedure. So I will just open sp underscore help text and stored procedure name. So here in the stored procedure name, passing, we are just passing department name. We are just passing the department name, correct? But it is returning some value, counter message. So let us change the query. So instead of this query insert department, I'm just putting my stored procedure over here, right? So I will just update the stored procedure, correct? So what I will do, let me take backup of this project before making some changes. Then, okay. So here I am going to write the stored procedure name, and whatever the stored procedure name is this. Now this is stored procedure, so will write command type dot stored procedure. Command type dot stored procedure, and all done, because you are already passing the parameter that is department name. That parameter should be same, so it is same department name, correct? So you are just passing the parameter, and if you save it and run the insert department stored procedure, you see it is asking enter the department ID to update the record. So which stored procedure it is calling? Let me check. Insert department, right? So it is asking enter the department name. So let me just build it again, correct? So I'm just building, and I'm just calling only one function, right? Insert a department. So here it is asking the department name. So now if we run our query and see what are the available department, HR and marketing. So if I give the department name as IT, we see what is happening, and try to read the error. It is saying could not find stored procedure insert department. That means some problem in finding the procedure name. So let us check what has happened. It is saying I'm not able to find the stored procedure name. So I have done one silly mistake. See, this should not be here, correct? So now let me run it again, and I'm giving the department name as one record inserted. So we can verify in our database. This one is inserted, this is the date time, correct? If we again run the program and try to execute the same and try to give the department name as IT, so it is not giving anything because we have not handled for the message 2 that we are returning, but it will not allow to insert any duplicate department. So if we want to handle all this, then we will have to make some changes in our code. So I will be telling you. So in this way, you can change the stored procedure, get all departments. So instead of this query, I am just putting my stored procedure name. See this one. And I can give cmd dot command type equals command type dot stored procedure, and I'm again calling a get all department. So here I'm just commenting this one and I am calling get all departments, and let me run this. So it has given all the department, correct? Now if I want get department by ID, get department by ID. So if you directly want to jump to this code, you just click over here and go to definition or press F12. You are here. So here I will have to give my procedure name, get department by ID. So get department by ID, and it is taking one parameter department ID. That is same written in our stored procedure. And if we run get department by ID, we will see the result. Enter department ID. One, one not available. So if I again give the department ID as 2, what is happening? Hmm? It is giving result of all department. Why this is happening? Because 2, 3, 4. So we are passing the department ID, correct? And this department ID data type is integer, and this department ID is also in integer, correct? Yes, tell me. So we are doing one by one. So this one is over here. Let me tell it that is stored procedure, correct? Stored procedure, and this one is taking the parameter department ID. So now if we run this and give department ID as 3, now it is working. So now you understood the importance of this statement. You must tell that it is stored procedure or plain text query. That is very helpful. So this one is also working fine. Now I have update department by ID and name, right? So this is also taking two parameters. So here we have created the procedure name as edit department. So just I am replacing my stored procedure in place of this query, and command type dot stored procedure. Okay, two parameters are being passed, department ID and department name. All these two parameters are required. So update department by ID, we will have to call this method as well. First this and this, correct? Okay. Now if we run, so this will give the list of already existing departments. Now it is asking enter the department ID to update the record. So if I give 2, now it is asking enter new department ID, department. So this is 2, that is HR. If I give HR 2, so it is different one. So that will be updated. HR2. But if I run it again and give the department ID 2 and want to do the same thing, no record updated. Correct? Because we have handled in the stored procedure. So that is working fine. So this one is also working. Update department by ID. And again, last we have one stored procedure, that is delete department by ID. So let me uncomment this and make some changes in this code as well. Go to definition. So you are here. It is asking to enter the department. So we will replace this query by our stored procedure. Delete department by ID. Correct? So have we created it? Insert department and delete department. This one. Either let me check this stored procedure we have created or not. So we just have delete department. Correct? So what we have written in this, let me check. So it is taking the parameter department ID. That is no issue. So I'm just replacing this and change it to stored procedure. So department ID, that is this one. Now, after the delete, we will see. So let me run it again. Enter the department ID to delete the record. If I give 2, that is deleted, only 3 and 4 is available. So in this session today, what we have done, we have just created our stored procedure and used our stored procedure in our C# console application. Now, sometimes we have some other requirement. So I'm going to tell you some more advanced topic that is based on some SQL data adapter that comes under the connected model, right? So that is one thing. So we have connected model. So here we will be using data set and SQL data adapter, these things, right? So how we are going to handle this? Let us see. So suppose we have already a stored procedure to select all the departments, right? Get departments. This stored procedure we have already created. So I will use this stored procedure in SQL data adapter, right? So let us create one method, private static get departments and give some, as I am using data adapter, so I am giving some meaningful name, adapter, right? So what we will use If we start using that SQL data adapter, so first of all we should check whether we have used these namespaces or not. System.data.SQL client system.data. These are required. So first we will take SQL data adapter. You see SQL data adapter. Let me create object of this and new SQL data adapter. And you see it has different overloaded versions. Four overloaded versions. See carefully. First is not taking any parameter. Second one is taking select command, whatever select command you want to give. Next one is taking select command and connection. So I am using this one, select command and connection. So our connection is in this variable, that is connection string over here. And select command, whatever stored procedure we have created, we are just going to use simple. Now I want this to display, so I am taking data set. This is available inside system.data.dataset. I will tell you more about dataset. So let me take a variable dataset ds equal to new dataset, and I will write adp dot fill and ds. Correct? adp dot fill. Yes, that is. And let us execute this one and see what is happening. So I am commenting all other methods and just calling this one, and let us debug this. Correct? Now I have put a breakpoint and start the debugging. So your breakpoint is active. Press F11, you see. So this one, and see what is inside this. So let us check whether it has some value or not. See how small code is this. I have not put anything to open the connection, to close the connection. So it will automatically open the connection and it will close the connection. Correct? That is one thing. If we are using SQL data adapter to select the record, so as of now we are not passing any parameter in this select command. This is only plain select statement. But you see only three lines. One is already written connection string, and you see, correct? Now let us understand about the data set. Then we will proceed further. So SQL data adapter, what it will do? It will create the connection and execute the given command. Correct? Execute the given SQL command. SQL command can be any query or stored procedure, whatever query or procedure, whatever you have. Now, this SQL data adapter, how it is going to work? So, in the database, suppose you have record like this, something. You have record like ID, name, age, correct? And ID is this, name is something A, and age is something 20, ID is 2, name is B, and age is 23, something, correct? So, SQL data adapter, what it will do, it will create the connection and execute the SQL command. Once the command is executed, and we have object of the SQL data adapter. So what object we are using? What object we are using? ADP. We have created an object ADP. ADP. Correct? So we have object of this one. Now see the code. What it is doing. I have taken one instance of dataset. I have taken one instance of the dataset. Just one instance of dataset we have. And we are saying whatever record you have fetched, either single query, two query, three query, 50 query, that that is no problem. This adapter will be returning more than tables, more than tables. So all these tables record, suppose we have another table, some other table like this. And in this table, I have only one column, that is city name. City name. See carefully. And city name is C1, C2, and C3. So, if our stored procedure written in such a way, if our stored procedure is calling this query and this query, so how many tables it is taking? It is taking two tables at a time. It is taking record of two tables. So this first table is will be called as table 0. This first table will be called as table 0. This is called table 0. Correct? Understand? Table 0. And this one will be called table 1. Table 1. Because we have a single stored procedure where we have written two select query inside this. And this is the stored procedure we have. This is our stored procedure. Correct? This is our stored procedure. And in this stored procedure, there are two query. One is select asterisk from something, select asterisk from ABC, and there is another query written select asterisk from city master. So how many query are executed in this stored procedure? Two. So how many tables will be in the result? Two. If we have one query, then there will be one result. If we have two query, two select query, then there will be two result. And these will be based on their sequence. If this query written at first, so this result will be treated as table 0. This will be treated as table 0. Suppose, let me show you. Suppose I write these two query. Simple. Select asterisk from. This is one query. Department, right? And if I write some other query, select get date. This is another query. So how many query we are executing? We are executing two query inside one stored procedure. We are executing two query inside this. So this result will be treated as table 0 and this will be treated as table 1. Understood? So for this situation, SQL data adapter is designed in such a way if we have table 0 or table 1 or table 2 or table n, this SQL data adapter will fetch all these inside this subject. Okay. Now I want this adapter result in the data set because we will have to convert. We will have to convert. So we are just writing the code adp.fill, adp.fill of where it need to fill in the data set, adp.fill ds. That means all the tables whatever in the SQL data adapter that will be filled inside ds. Correct? These two table 0 and table 1 will copied into ds. Now this will have two instances. How many tables it has taken? Table 1. So it will create data set 0. Data set 0, table 0. Data set 0, table 0. And for the second one, what we will call it? What we will call this? DS0, table 1. Correct? Either you can say ds dot table 0. No problem. Because we have only one instance of ds. So we can just say ds dot table 0. No need. If you don't, I have just written to make you understand. You can just write like this. ds, correct? And from this table you know very carefully this is row 0 and this is row 1. So this is row 0, column 0, row 0, column 1, row 0, column 2, row 1, column 0, row 1, column 2, row 1, column 2. Correct? So the sequence will matter like matrix. So this data set is filled with all the value that this adapter has. Now, if we want, we can print one by one value. Suppose I want to print one by one value. I just want only one record. So what I will write? ds dot, you see, tables, because it will have tables. ds dot tables, and it is asking which table is the name of any table, or you can just put the table name and namespace. You can just give. So if I write ds dot table 0 and if I write row dot count dot to string. Try to understand what it is going to return. Try to understand what it is going to return. See, ds dot table 0, that means go inside the data set, see the table 0 and check the count of the all rows. How many rows are there? How many rows are there? Two rows. So you know the result will be 2, correct? If you run this is returning 2 because there are only 2 rows. So 2 is integer value, right? So we can hold this in any variable whenever it is required. So I'm just doing one thing. I'm putting one condition. If ds not equal to null, if ds not equal to null, what is the meaning of this? That means data set has some value inside it. If data set is null, that means no record is found, correct? If ds not equal to null, what it will return? Suppose I delete all these 2 rows. So there will be no record in this. And that stored procedure will not get any record. So what it will return? Null, correct? So if data set not equal to null, then I want to display the first row only. How you will get the value of each column? I want to display the value of the first row in the table 0, correct? So I will write console.writeLine ds dot table 0 dot row 0 and column 0, correct? Row 0 and column 0, row 0 and column 0 dot to string. So what it will return? Row 0, column 0. What it will return? This will return row 0. This is row 0 and column 0, that means 3. Only 3. Correct? Similarly, how many columns you have? I just want department ID, name and date. So I will, that will be row 0, but column will change. Correct? And if you run this, see, correct? So sometimes if you need individual record, you need to handle, you can do like this, correct? Sometimes you want to print all the record whatever in DS, you can loop. So this is for one thing. And we can also put this condition if DS not equal to null, and I can put this condition as well. The count should be greater than 0 if we are required in some cases. And we are just checking because we know DS will have table 0, table 1 and so on. But especially we are checking if because we are making operation over table 0. So we are checking inside table 0 if rows count is greater than 0, then do this operation. Correct? And if you want to loop, you can write the loop as well. For each where x in ds dot table 0. Simple. Now what is happening? ds dot table 0. So what it is saying? See, gets the collection of table contained in data set. So it will require to make some enumeration either, and this is returning the collection, and this is not a collection. So either you will have to define something like this, correct? Then you can loop. So suppose you are taking the department class as well, and you are putting all these values. So I will be taking this example later, but as of now you must understand this. Now I am going inside this store procedure and going to make some change in this store procedure. Only one change, not more than this. sp underscore help text and this store procedure get departments, correct? So, so how many tables it is returning as a result? Only one. Now if I write select get date, correct? As date, and if I just alter for some time, correct? Now if I run, I have added one more select query. Now if I run this code, will it affect anything? Nothing, because we are dealing with only table 0. And this one, if we execute this will be treated as a table 1, correct? So here we have put the code to check ds not null, but inside the ds, if you put the breakpoint, you see, and if I debug, see very carefully. And in the ds, you go to watch box, right? You see this is table 0, this is table 1. The sequence is already maintained. Table 0, row 0, column 0. That's it. Table 1. So if I want to display the date as well, so I can do, because it is returning only single value. So I will write another condition for table 1. I will write another condition for the table 1 that rows dot count. Then in the table 1, what we can, what is the column? Column 0. You can give the column 0, or you can give the column name as well, whatever column name in your database. So I have created this alias as date, so I can give either I can give column 0, this will return the same result. That is no problem. And this is handling to table 1. Now run this. Yeah, because in the table 0 there is nothing like date, right? This. So in this way, you can handle multiple things with the SQL data adapter. Correct? Now, if you are using another select command, and if you are passing any ID, right? So what is the procedure name that we have created? Get department by ID. So what we are passing inside this? Get department by ID. So we are passing department ID as well, correct? So get department by ID. Okay, and give the procedure name over here. Fine. You only just need to pass the department ID, correct? So in the stored procedure, you will have to pass the department ID. So I am just taking the input from user console.write line, enter the department ID. Right? So this department ID should be passed as a parameter. What I will write? ADP dot select command dot parameters select command dot parameters dot add with value. It is same. Earlier we used to write cmd dot parameter dot add with value. Here we are giving adp dot select command dot parameter dot add with value. So only value we need to pass, whatever parameter it is asking for. Done. So this stored procedure will work. And in the same way, what it is returning? What it is returning? Suppose I give 3. So what it is returning? Oh, single value, right? So for this single value we have already handled, and there is nothing for the table 1. So we will remove this code. Okay, only table 0. So this we are also calling after this. Correct? Now remove the breakpoint and run. It is asking to enter the department ID. So how many departments are there in our table? So if I am giving the department ID 4, the results for the IT should come. So 4 I am giving. What is happening? If I am giving 4, so this one is coming, right? So okay, got it. Let me comment this one. Okay. Yes. So if I am giving 4, what is happening with this? Something is wrong. Department ID, we have changed the store procedure name and it is taking get departments. Let me build it again. It is built. Stored procedure is get department underscore by ID. Correct? Let me run it again. Let us see. 4. It is giving marketing. Something I am missing. But the stored procedure is okay, right? What is happening? Get department ID adapter. Hmm? What is the problem? Enter the department ID. Read a line. Fine. SQL data adapter. adp.set command.parameters data add with. What is the issue? Let me put the breakpoint here. F11, F10. So it is asking for the department name. So here I am giving department name 4, right? 4. Again F10. What department name it is taking? 4. F10. F10. Let me check in DS what value is coming. It is so we will have to put one line more. adp dot command type select command dot command type, right, equal to command type dot stored procedure, right? And if we debug it again, F10, F10, it is asking department ID as 4, F10, 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 department ID is 4 in the DS. Let me check the result. Now it has actually it was not understanding, it was taking the previous stored procedure, right? So this is the result. So now you are okay with this. Fine. So this way you can use the stored procedure and dataset for the different operation. Most of the time we use for the select operation. Select operation either you select a table or a scalar value or anything. You just have to, and you don't need to open and close connection every time, only these lines. So this is all about the stored procedure and SQL data adapter, data set. Got it?